The top 20 tourist attractions in California. I'm Chris, this is Yellow Productions. I do travel guides that are fun, informative, and entertaining. This is a live stream. In this live stream, I'm looking forward to hanging out with all of you, talking about the best places to visit in the U.S. state of California. If you're new to these live streams, definitely interact and chat. If you're watching the archive, well, make sure you subscribe and click the bell to turn on notifications so you get notified of these live streams that I do on Monday nights when I'm not out and about the world and traveling. And so we're going to be counting down 20 of these best attractions. And when I say attractions, I actually mean like attractions, like things, and I don't mean like places like cities. Sometimes you'll see these videos, and when they say, hey, the best places to go to in California are San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, you're like, okay, fine, those are great places, but can you narrow it down a little bit? So this is going to be pretty narrow, and I'll be talking about 20 specific attractions in this state, and at the end, I've got a few things that I didn't include, and we can talk about why I didn't include these. And so for you on the live stream who are in the chat, I'll be interested to hear what you think about these attractions and maybe what some of your favorites are. So the first top attraction in California, and by the way, I'm going to be doing this not in order of like best to worst, but I'm going to be doing this in order of geographical direction, starting from the south in San Diego, and then working our way up towards San Francisco. So if you're visiting California, you could potentially do all of these things like in one great road trip. So the first top attraction in California is Balboa Park in San Diego, where culture, science, and nature come together in a 1,200-acre space. There are gardens, walking paths, 17 museums, Spanish buildings, and of course the world-famous San Diego Zoo. Balboa Park is also really quite close to downtown. Balboa Park is one of the most famous urban parks in all of the United States. And within Balboa Park, there are three things you pretty much need to see. And one of them, it was in that video that I was just showing you. It is the Botanical Building and Lily Pond. I'm going to run that aerial video clip again, and you look at this brown building that's in it to the left, and there's that lily pond in there. That is the most photographed building in all of Balboa Park. So you need to go there and you need to get your selfie right in front of that lily pond. Inside the Botanical Building, it's home to 2,000 plants. There's a lot of plants in there. The other big attraction that makes Balboa Park famous is the Organ Pavilion. There's this organ in Balboa Park, and it is home to the world's largest pipe organ. That is right. It was donated to the city of San Diego in 1914 for the Panama, California Exposition. It has over 5,000 pipes that range in different lengths from the size of a pencil around to 32 feet. That's crazy. And the city of San Diego actually employs a civic organist, meaning that there's someone who plays that organ that is on staff for the city of San Diego, and they do free concerts every Sunday at 2 p.m. So great day to visit Balboa Park is on Sundays at 2 p.m. By the way, if you're in Balboa Park around April, cherry blossom season, there's a neat Japanese garden in Balboa Park as well where you can see cherry blossoms. The final great attraction in Balboa Park is the San Diego Zoo, the world-famous San Diego Zoo, situated on over 100 acres in Balboa Park. It's home to over 3,700 animals, 650 species. It is one of the world's best zoos, and it is famous for pioneering kind of the open-air natural environment concept. So when you go to the San Diego Zoo, you don't feel super sorry for the animals, like they're in awful cages and awful cement things, and they have really neat tours of the zoo, and the San Diego Zoo is also recognized as a world leader in species conservation. So looking at the chat, Travis Family Travels says they really like La Jolla. We're going to get to La Jolla pretty soon as far as things in San Diego. Melissa says, I would love to go to the San Diego Zoo. Well, hopefully you can. And Carlos says, hello, thanks for helping me with my trip to Santa Cruz. We'll be talking about Santa Cruz in this live stream as well. Let's see, Goddess said, I'm sure somebody already said Disneyland. That is coming up as well. Paul says, advice for visiting the zoo. Spend the day there. I mean, it's a great place to go. Crystal says, I wish I went to the San Diego Zoo. By the way, there's actually, when people talk about the San Diego Zoo, it actually has two locations. It has this one in Balboa Park, and then it has a second one that's known as the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, which is a much bigger plot of land, and it's open air, and you basically take this tram around the outside of it, and there you can see the animals in their natural habitat. Yes, and Kaita says, Katia says, San Diego Zoo Topher. Yes, Topher, the original Topher came from the San Diego Zoo. All right, let's go on to number 2. Second great attraction in California is the USS Midway. The USS Midway was the United States' longest-serving aircraft carrier of the 20th century. It's now a museum ship in San Diego. Approximately 200,000 sailors served on the USS Midway while it was an active carrier, and at any one time there would be 4,500 crew on board that ship. It is amazing. It is a floating city, and the USS Midway, that is now this museum ship in San Diego, it is the world's most visited U.S. Navy or any museum ship for that matter. Every year, more than 1 million visitors visit the USS Midway. You can explore the galleys, the sleeping quarters, and the flight deck that's on top of that aircraft carrier. It's a 4-acre flight deck with 20 restored aircraft on top of it. San Diego is a big Navy town. You'll see Navy ships everywhere in the San Diego Bay. The USS Midway is the one you can go on to, not the ones that are actually running there. Stephen Tang says, every time I go to San Diego, I end up missing the USS Midway. Need to save some time for the next time I visit. You do, Stephen. And I will say, if you're visiting the USS Midway, because I mentioned it's so big and 4,500 people live there, you should plan at least 3 hours to visit the Midway. They do really great audio guides, and there's also a lot of cool volunteers that are former Navy veterans that might have even served on that ship that are there to answer questions and tell you about it. Catalyst says, never been to the Midway, and I wonder if Old Town San Diego will be here. Old Town San Diego is not here. But Old Town San Diego is a great place in San Diego to see the kind of Mexican and Spanish influence on San Diego, but it did not make the top 20 list in California. Karen says her uncle served aboard the USS Midway, and his name is displayed. That's awesome, Karen. And Alex says he stayed up late just for the live stream. Awesome, Alex. Thanks for tuning in. And Key's in a whole different time zone where it's not late, but it's early. So, all right. Okay, let's go on to number 3. The third best attraction in California is Belmont Park right here. Just need to turn this audio off so you can hear me and not the sound when I was recording this. And so Belmont Park, Mission Beach right here. You're looking at the Mission Beach Boardwalk. On the shores of Mission Beach since 1925, Belmont Park is San Diego's only beachfront amusement park and boardwalk. Admission is free. There's a Giant Dipper roller coaster from 1925 that still operates today. Mission Beach is one of San Diego's most iconic beaches. It's got separate swimming areas and surfing areas. This wide beachfront boardwalk that you look at right here, where you can bike, skate, and run to Pacific Beach, or you can just people watch. It is a great place to just sit along that seawall and watch the people go by. So if you're looking for kind of that classic California beach vibe, Belmont Park and Mission Beach is a great place to do it. Travis Family Travel says they have great surf lessons for beginners. Absolutely they do. And if you want to know where I learned how to surf actually out there in Mission Beach as well. I took surfing lessons from the Mission Bay Aquatic Center, which is one of the many surf lessons places they have there. When you're done with Mission Beach, As I mentioned, just take a stroll up that boardwalk a little more than a mile or take an Uber to Pacific Beach. There's a really neat pier there called Crystal Pier that has a hotel that runs right along the water. If you want to see more about Belmont Park and Mission Beach, I've got a video that is all about the best beaches in San Diego. And by the way, many of these attractions I'll be talking about here, I've got further videos on these, and you'll find links in the description during the live stream and during the archive. But right now, in the live stream, you can watch it when you're done with this if you want to see more detail on any of these particular attractions that I'll be naming. I think about half the attractions I've got separate videos on. Adventure Mate says, Belmont Park is amazing. I loved that place on my vacation last year. By the way, stay at the Grand Hyatt if you go. Yeah, the Grand Hyatt, it is right near Mission Beach. It's about maybe a half mile or 3/4 of a mile from there to the beach, but it's a great hotel and it's there. Ricky says, Chris, we need to see a video of you surfing. You know, I've got one of me boogie boarding. I'll try to pull something out of the archives so you can see me surfing poorly. William says, I'm visiting LA and San Diego in October and looking forward to visiting Mission Beach and PB. I want to live there. It would probably be a pretty nice place to live. Ruth Ann says, just joined Anything Good by Carlsbad. Carlsbad is kind of a city within the county of San Diego. Legoland is the most popular thing there. If you're here in spring, there's the flower fields in Carlsbad. There's an outlet shopping mall. There's some neat beaches in Carlsbad. And there's a really great Park Hyatt hotel in Carlsbad. So that is what is in Carlsbad. Gene's joined in and says, hello from San Francisco. Gene, welcome. We'll be getting to San Francisco. Those numbers are towards the end of this list, but you probably already know where to go in San Francisco since you live there. And Weird Al Fan 1980, by the way, I love Weird Al. I'm a Weird Al fan too. Says, you and World According to Briggs are my favorite channels that deal with locations and top lists. Awesome. Thank you, Weird Al Fan. I appreciate it. And Maddie Rhodes says, I bet you're the best surfer. I am not the best surfer. I'm really not very good. I just kind of like to do it because it's fun. People always ask what I'm drinking. Today I'm drinking some mango passion fruit iced tea from El Pollo Loco, the Crazy Chicken, a great California chain that does flame grilled chicken. I talk all about this in my video about the best California chain restaurants. You'll find a link to that in the description as well. All right, let's go on to number 4. The 4th best tourist attraction in California is La Jolla. And this is where I maybe broke my rule a little bit, and that La Jolla is kind of a neighborhood, and so I've narrowed it down to say La Jolla Cove and the Children's Pool. Right here, this is the La Jolla Children's Pool. This video was taken a little bit before it was invaded by all the seals and sea lions, but actually one great reason why you want to come and visit La Jolla is this beach is home to a ton of seals and sea lions, so it's a great way to see California's native sea life, but the whole kind of oceanfront in La Jolla is just beautiful. La Jolla in San Diego is known as the Gem. It doesn't mean the gem, but it's known as the Gem, kind of as people thought that's what it means, but it doesn't. It's spelled L-A-J-O-L-L-A, and if you're a tourist, you'll call it La Jolla, and then we'll know you're a tourist. It's pronounced in Spanish, it's La Jolla, but it's a great neighborhood for these beautiful beaches, for bird watching, for restaurants, and for shopping, and I have a whole video about La Jolla as well, and it's actually where Dr. Seuss, if you read the Dr. Seuss books, this and that, Dr. Seuss lived in La Jolla. Travis Family Travel says, La Jolla Bay has a sea lion named Bruno, who is a retired Navy SEAL who has saved people from sharks. Okay, that's cool. Carlos says, I went there and I saw lots of sea lions. Very good. And Geshmake says, great snorkeling in La Jolla. There is really great snorkeling there. There's also great kayaking too. You can kayak in these ocean caves, and a really neat place to visit is... really neat place to visit is the La Jolla Cave Store, where you can basically walk down this staircase to this ocean cave. You pay like a couple bucks to go down the staircase, but it's a really easy way to get to the ocean cave. You don't have to snorkel or kayak to get there. Alex says, hey Chris, have you considered selling the yellow logo t-shirts through Teespring? I'd like to buy a couple more along with one of the Topher shirts. Alex, tell you what, message me on Facebook, let's chat, because you are a merchandise winner. We'll chat, but I actually want to make them special, and so actually the merchandise is just for people who win things. But send me a message on Facebook, Alex. Carlos says, are you going south to north? Yes, I am going south to north. Broken Railer says, if I can only choose one, would you recommend San Diego over San Francisco? So I would recommend San Diego and Los Angeles together over San Francisco. If you just had to pick one, San Francisco or San Diego, like it depends what you like. If you like beaches and you like nature, then San Diego. If you like city life, then San Francisco. All right, so let's go on to number 5. All right, so the 5th best tourist attraction in California, and now we're moving out of San Diego. We're moving to the north. When we go to the north of San Diego, we end up in this place called Orange County. Orange County, there's a city called Anaheim. Anaheim is home to the happiest place on earth. Anaheim is home to Disneyland. And turn off the audio right there. This is Disneyland taken in Halloween. It's Halloween right now in Disneyland. Actually, we were just there last weekend. But Disneyland, one of the world's best theme parks. Frankly, it all started here in California. Now, many people might say, but Chris, I think Walt Disney World in Florida is better. Fine, put that in your list about best tourist attractions in Florida. This is a list of best tourist attractions in California. And if you're in California and you love theme parks, there's 2 of them. There's Disneyland and there's Disney California Adventure. Of the 2, Disneyland is definitely the superior one. It's just an amazing place to go to. I will say the prices keep going up and up at Disneyland. OC Girl and I, we've been annual pass holders for years and years and years because we're apparently happy to just give the Disney Corporation more and more money. And particularly now, if you love Star Wars, Disneyland just opened Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which is the Star Wars land in Disneyland. Though I will point out, there's 2 rides in Galaxy's Edge. One of them is still not open yet. So if you're planning to go because you like Star Wars, you might want to wait until that second ride in Galaxy's Edge is there. Peyton Nintendo says, I remember in one of your videos that the castle was under construction. Is it open yet? Yes, the Disneyland Castle is back open again, and so is the Tomorrowland Rockets. Actually, right now, everything is open at Disneyland. And that's not the case all the time, but I will say generally, the times that everything is open at Disneyland is typically like May until December. Like I think they consider that their really busy season, and then it's kind of slow January, February, March, so that's when they do a lot of maintenance. Leo Fan says, glad I could make it to the live stream. How do you have that awesome yellow highlight over users' comments? I use this software called vMix to live stream, and it allows me to pick the things out of comments and put that up there. If you want to see more about how I do these live streams, you'll find a link in the description to my video all about behind the scenes of live streams, where I talk all about how I do it. Melissa says, do you personally think Disneyland or Disney World is better? If you were someone who was coming to the U.S. specifically for Disney and you didn't live near any particular one, just as a theme park, I would say Disney World is better. It's got 4 theme parks, it's got 20 hotels, and so I think it kind of keeps the crowds away better. Disneyland, like super busy just because it's in the middle of Los Angeles, and it doesn't have quite the same, like, just isolated away from it all feel that Disney World has. Now, if you ask me what my favorite Disney theme park in the world is, it is Tokyo Disney Sea in Tokyo, Japan. And Maddie says, what's my favorite thing about Disney? My favorite thing about Disney really is just kind of getting away from it. And, you know, people say like, oh, they don't like Disneyland because it's fake and manufactured. And I'm like, it's not fake. It's a real place. It's actually not imaginary. So I just love the fact that they maintain it so well, they keep it clean, and I particularly love in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge now that the whole cast basically plays the characters in Star Wars. And so it's more than just a place where people work, but they play the role where, like, when you have a transaction with the shopkeepers, they'll tell you the price and credits. They'll ask, for your credentials to see your ID. So it's pretty neat. Let's see. Jasmine says, what's your tip for newbies going to Disneyland? Must-have snacks. Jasmine, I have a whole video about Disneyland tips, but probably my biggest tip is if you're thirsty, like, bring a bottle of water, and you can go into most of the restaurants in Disneyland, like the counter service restaurants, and if they have, like, fountain drinks, you can just go in there and fill up your bottle of water with some fresh, cold, filtered water in there. So that's what we do, and that way you don't have to buy... $6 bottles of water all day. All right. And Chelsea says, what's the best place to eat at Disneyland? You know, it depends what you like. Our favorite cheap eats are the corn dogs from Corn Dog Castle and California Adventure, or the Main Street Corn Dog Cart on Main Street. For, like, sit-down full service, we really love the Blue Bayou. That's the restaurant that's inside the Pirates of the Caribbean. If you want to eat there, make sure to reserve it like 2 to 3 months in advance. And the other thing we like is the gumbo. And if we're eating in downtown Disney, which is kind of the shopping district, and you can get this at both Disneyland in Anaheim and Florida, is Earl of Sandwich. Their motto is the best hot sandwich in the world, and I actually believe that. All right. And Mr. X asks, we're talking about LA. Is LAX really that bad to fly into? I hate LAX. But actually, I think LAX is worse to fly out of than it is to fly into. I think the landing experience is fine. Really, just like the traffic and things like that around LAX, it is bad. All right. Let's go on to number 6. Okay, the 6th best attraction in California, and this one might be slightly controversial for some people, and I want to slide here so you can see this, because you won't find this on a lot of best lists for California, but it's on mine, and it's right here. It is the Watts Towers. The Watts Towers are the only UNESCO World Heritage Site in California, and because of that, that's why they're on this list. And what's special about these towers? These towers, they're in a city in the LA area called Watts, which is not really the best city in the world. It's known for riots and things like that. But there was an Italian gentleman who lived in Watts. His name was Simon Rodea, and he built these towers on his property. These towers are like nearly 100 feet tall. They are the world's largest sculptures built by a single person. Simon Rodea, he worked at a tile shop, and every day he would come home, put some metal, put some tile on it, and he would build these Watts Towers. Joe Antonio wanted me to say Watts. That's how I say Watts. How do you say Watts? If you're going to go check these out, do it on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, because they offer tours of the Watts Towers. And Geschmacke says, watch your wallet when you go to the Watts Towers. I think if you're taking a tour inside the Watts Towers, like, they actually fence it off, and you have to pay a few dollars to go in. It's worth the guided tour to understand the history, and I feel it is truly just one of these unique attractions. Yeah, and OC Steve says, yeah, go see them in the daylight, and do not wear red and blue. Yeah, because Watts is known for having some gang violence in the past, and I would agree with OC Steve. Go see them in the daylight. Again, go look up when they do the tours and go there when they're offering the tours. That's when you should see the Watts Towers. But that will be one of those unique attractions that you won't see anywhere else. All right, let's go on to hide the PowerPoint. Let's go on to number 7. And so the 7th best attraction, now we're moving further up in Los Angeles, is Melrose Avenue and Rodeo Drive. Okay, so it's technically 2 places, but they're 2 of the most famous streets in LA. This right here, this is Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. Why do you go to Rodeo Drive? You go to Rodeo Drive to feel like a movie star, shop where the Hollywood folks shop. It is like known as the highest end shopping street in Los Angeles. It is one of those iconic places to go to. Oh, and by the way, this video, I didn't mention why I'm doing this video this week, but for those of you who tuned in to my live stream last week, my live stream last week was all about the top 19 most disappointing tourist attractions in the U.S., and people said, Chris, you ragged on California too much because many of your most disappointing tourist attractions were in California, so is California entirely a bad place to go to? And so actually a lot of the things on this list are things that are not disappointing. So if you watch my other video, Hollywood Boulevard was my #1 most disappointing attraction on that list. And not to say you shouldn't go to it, but it's disappointing. I feel Rodeo Drive is not disappointing. Melrose Avenue is a place where there's all these walls to do selfies. I've got a video on Melrose Avenue, which I published just a couple weeks ago, which is pretty fun. On Melrose Avenue, there's a famous LA institution that Melissa points out called Pink's Hot Dogs. Pretty good chili dogs. David says Rodeo Drive is great at about 10 p.m. I've never been there at 10 p.m. because all the stores close at 5. What is there at 10 p.m.? Yeah, Karen does say don't bother bringing your wallet because you won't be able to afford anything there. I mean, it's true. Rodeo Drive is definitely one of those places that you go to really to window shop. I mean, unless you're just filthy rich, and maybe there's a few of you out there, I am not filthy rich, so we just window shop. There is a really good cupcake place just down the street from Rodeo Drive called Sprinkles Cupcakes. The original Sprinkles Cupcakes is in Beverly Hills. I know there have been some people out there that said, Chris, I tried the one in Vegas. It wasn't all that good. When you go to Beverly Hills, try Sprinkles there. I think that one's better than what I've heard from the other people who say it's not. AJ says, and he's talking about Watts, I've heard South Central LA has been improving, but still wouldn't recommend going unless you know someone. Yeah, and there's really no tourist attractions other than the Watts Towers, so I think you can just kind of go in and go out. Andrew wants to know if I've been to Magic Mountain. I've been there many times. Magic Mountain's a big theme park near Los Angeles, has tons of roller coasters. It didn't make this list because there's a couple other theme parks that did, but if you like roller coasters, you should visit Magic Mountain. And I talked about wooden roller coasters. There's like an amazing wooden roller coaster in Magic Mountain, which is like a 5-minute long ride. I mean, it is, if you like roller coasters, you will like it. So Electric Rick, for those who don't know, is my dad. He says, thanks for taking me to the Watts Towers. It was a very eye-opening experience. Yeah, my pleasure. I thought that's kind of one of those neat places. 101 Star Wars fan says, La Brea Tar Pits. You know, La Brea Tar Pits is one of the minor points on my list, but I'm going to talk about it right now because you mentioned it. There is this really great place, I think, and it's one of these sites that's kind of a lesser site, so it didn't make my top 20, but it did make it enough that I wanted to talk about it. There's this place in LA. It's right next to the LA County Museum of like Modern Art. I always get that name wrong. I have a video on the La Brea Tar Pits where I got the name of the museum wrong too, but there's this like stretch near downtown LA that's a park that just like tar and oil just like bubble up from the park, and there's a museum where you can see like bones of elephants and things like that have like landed in this tar. There's this lake of tar. If you like unique things, check out the La Brea Tar Pits, and it's cool because you can just string it together with a ton of other things. It's not one of those things you have to drive 9 hours to get to it just to see it. I have a video on that. You'll find a link to that in the description. Broken Railer wants to know if Airbnb is legal in California. Yes, it is. Different cities have different regulations on it, but it is. Let's see. Victor says Griffith Observatory at sunset was the highlight of our LA vacation. Hang on to your numbers, Victor. We'll get there in just a moment. But yes, I agree. Griffith Observatory. Maddie says, what's the best place to take photos in LA? Maddie, it's Melrose Avenue. Go watch my video on Melrose Avenue. There's all these like neat selfie walls. And then if you want to take photos like of LA, the best view, it's at the Griffith Observatory, which is a number coming up. All right, let's go to the number 8. The 8th best tourist attraction in Los Angeles is the Santa Monica Pier. Santa Monica Pier, it looks like the California beaches you've seen in the movies. It's got a Ferris wheel on it. It's got a roller coaster on it. It's got arcades on it. It's got performers on it. And there are some people who say like, oh, I didn't like the Santa Monica Pier because it was too touristy and there's too many people. You know why there's so many people? Because people love the Santa Monica Pier. And by the way, when you think of beaches, Santa Monica has a really big, wide beach. And if you've ever seen the television show Baywatch with Pamela Anderson that they tell you is Malibu, it is in fact not Malibu. Baywatch was shot on the shores of Santa Monica on this big, wide, sandy beach. And just above the hill from the Santa Monica Pier, there's this neat promenade called the 3rd Street Promenade with a little shopping mall up there. 3rd Street Promenade has a lot of street performers, and so that's a neat place to go. Moises says that pier gets crazy crowded. It does if you're there like on a summer weekend, things like that. Don't go on a summer weekend. Go some other time. And if you're looking to park, like right around the pier, it's super expensive to park. Just park up on the hill in the downtown area and walk down there. You'll find that the best place to park. While you're visiting Santa Monica, just south of Santa Monica, there's this neighborhood called Venice Beach. You should definitely visit Venice Beach if you like funky, kind of oddball sites. Somebody asked where the best dispensary is, or can I recommend any? If you're looking for dispensaries, you'll find a lot of that in Venice Beach, but Venice Beach is another place with, you know, street performers and kind of new age hippies and all those sorts of things. And I often say that Venice Beach is the best place to go in LA if you want to feel like you're in a different country. It feels a world removed from Santa Monica. I will comment that Venice Beach can get kind of sketchy late at night, so make sure you do Venice Beach before sunset. Travis Family Travels wants to know if you'll be arrested if you go up to the Hollywood sign for pictures. So you can hike up near the Hollywood sign, and as long as you stay outside the fence of it, you won't be arrested. Yes, if you hop the fence, then yes, you could potentially be arrested. Dory and her fro say, try the hummus bar in Santa Monica. Hey, thanks, Dory, for the tip. I've never been there, but hey, maybe I'll check it out. Let's see. Jerome says, you should keep the list up in the corner of the screen for those who get here later. Well, you know, Jerome, there is the archive for those who get here later. And secondly, like as soon as I'm done with the live stream, I'll actually post the entire text-based list in the description, so you could review it too if you missed it then. So you could like check back in an hour and you'll find it. Check back in an hour, you'll see the archive. And you'll see it going from the beginning. And we're working our way south to north. So right now we're in LA. We've done San Diego, and we'll be going up more in LA. So, all right. So what's north of the Santa Monica Pier in LA? Number 9 right here, we have the Getty Museum. This is like just an amazing world-class museum. There are not many great free museums in LA, but this one is an amazing free museum. And I've been surprised at the world-renowned paintings that are in there. And this museum exists because J. Paul Getty was a dude with lots of money, and he basically didn't give any of it to his children. He donated all of it to the J. Paul Getty Trust to open up this museum and keep it free for the public. If you're driving, you do have to pay for parking, but admission is free. If you're going to the Getty and you like art and things like that, there's actually 2 locations. There's the main Getty Museum, and then there's a second one, which is between Santa Monica and Malibu, called the Getty Villa. That was J. Paul Getty's house that he built, like this Italian villa, and he stored and displayed a lot of his original collection of art there. That's worth a visit too. If you're visiting the Getty Villa, you have to make a reservation for parking at a certain time ahead of time. Don't just turn up at the villa. You can totally turn up at the Getty Museum, but you can't turn up at the villa without a reservation. David says, watch out for $20 parking fee at the Getty. The parking is expensive, but if you pay parking at the Getty Center, then you can park for free at the villa or vice versa. Carla says, what's the best beach for engagement photos? I would say Laguna Beach, which is in Orange County. It's really beautiful. Geshmake says, the gardens at Getty are considered pieces of art by the Getty. Interesting fact. All right, thank you for that. That is an interesting fact. All right, let's go on to number 10. And Kathy right here is saying, love this list. Need to try some on our next trip. All right, definitely, Kathy. And I'm glad you are loving the list. All right, so let's go on to number 10, which is what I did this for. And many of you have already said this. It is the Griffith Observatory. This observatory right here on top of this amazing hill in Griffith Park. If you want to come and you want to see the best view of Los Angeles, you can do it up here from the Griffith Observatory. It's really popular to come at sunset, but I will say avoid this place on weekends at sunset, or come like 3 hours before, because sunset time there's zero parking. It's really hard to park. Inside that building, there's a museum, there's like a place where you can see like astronomy type shows, and there's a working Tesla coil. For those who don't know what a Tesla is, right, there were two kind of competing like electric systems back in the day. And Tesla, what the cars are named after, had this vision of these coils that would have these sparks, and things could draw their energy wirelessly from these coils. When I went to this museum back in the day, before they really had shielded it, and people had cell phones and things like that, when they turned on this Tesla coil, I think they do demos every 30 minutes, like my watch, boom, went dark because of all the energy that came out of this coil. So pretty neat. And again, get to the Griffith Observatory early, be at the crowds. It's in a big park, and so there's a lot of things there. Juve Travel says Griffith, and Miguel says love Griffith Park. Parking is hard to find. It is very true. Parking up at the top of the hill is hard to find. You may be better served finding parking like below the top of the hill and walking up, or taking an Uber up there. Matt says view is better after a rainstorm. Planetarium is nice. Carlos says seen the Tesla coil. It's super cool. Ricky says, have you ever seen a missile launch from Vandenberg Air Force Base? SpaceX launches a lot of stuff out here in Lompoc. Yes and no. I've actually, from like Orange County in LA, we've seen missiles in the air. Well, maybe not missiles, but spacecraft launched from Vandenberg Air Force Base, because we could see the plumes in the air. I've never actually seen it from Vandenberg itself, but that does seem like a neat thing to do as well. Egg Gringo says, are there any interesting sites in Anaheim besides Disney and Knott's Berry Farm? Like if you like food, there's this really neat food hall in Anaheim called the Anaheim Packing House. That's my other recommendation to you. Other than that, in Orange County, I feel like most of the other like attractions are sort of along the coastal cities. Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, those are kind of the other cool things to see in Orange County. Jay Martinez got engaged at the Griffith Observatory. That's cool. So that'd probably be another cool place to take some engagement pictures. And 101 Star Wars fan gives a tips for anyone going there that says you can park for free at the Greek Theater. OC Steve says it's all about the laser show. And engagement photos, because somebody asked, OC Steve said his wife and him did their engagement photo announcements 6 years ago at the Montage in Laguna Beach, which is like an amazing hotel in Laguna Beach. Right. So let's go on to number 11. The 11th best tourist attraction in California is Universal Studios Hollywood, another theme park on this list. But this theme park is more than just a theme park. You don't just go here for the rides, but your favorite Hollywood blockbuster was probably filmed at Universal Studios Hollywood. It's an amusement park and a working studio. There's a number of Universal Studios theme parks around the world, but there's only one with the studio tour. So you come here for the studio tour. If you come to Universal Studios Hollywood, do not leave without the studio tour. It seems like it's one of the rides. You have to line up for it, but they take you on these trams through a lot of studios and where they filmed a lot of famous things. They've also made some things to make it feel like you're in the Fast and the Furious and all those kinds of things. It does have some like thrill rides. Most of the rides are kind of like simulators. They're like the motion projection rides. The Harry Potter ride and the Harry Potter land is probably their coolest land that's part of Universal Studios. I don't love the rides at Universal Studios, but I do love the studio tour, and I also love some of the shows that they have there, like the special effects show and the stunt show. If you're pressed for time, you could probably do Universal Studios the big things you need to do, which are the studio tour and like the 3 shows in about 6 hours, and skip all the rides, and you'd probably be okay. That'd be my recommendation if you just like movies and all that sort of stuff, and you don't don't like rides. Yeah, and that's where Nicholas says nothing but virtual rides, Universal Studios, headaches, disappointment. Yeah, don't go on those. Let's see. Kathy says, done the studio tour back in 1994, so probably changed a lot. It has changed a lot. We did the studio tour like a long time ago, kind of like that. And then we recently went a couple years ago to make the video. So actually we've got a whole video on Universal Studios Hollywood. So if you're going there, you can check that video out. And Travis asks, how do you see shows being filmed? So we've never done that, but there's actually a lot of websites that you can go to find tickets for tapings. So if you were just to like search online for like Los Angeles show tapings, you'll find a lot of them. You can sign up for it, and you can go to a taping. The Uniplex says, my sister and her family went to Universal and they forgot to go on the studio tour. Oh, that's so bad, Uniplex. All right, let's go on to number 12. So the 12th best tourist attraction in California, moving our way up now out of Los Angeles, is to drive along Pacific Coast Highway. This highway is a highway that runs from like Orange County in the south. Technically, you could drive most of it from like San Diego all the way up to San Francisco. It's an amazing drive. The most beautiful stretches are as you go through Malibu, north of Los Angeles. You go along up through the Central Coast. You'll pass through Santa Barbara, Big Sur, Carmel by the Sea, Monterey, Santa Cruz. So definitely drive Pacific Coast Highway if you have a car. It's beautiful and scenic, and it's one of those classic things that you really just need to do in California. And it often is acronymized. So the full name of it is the Pacific Coast Highway, acronymized PCH. Sometimes people refer to it as Coast Highway. Some people refer to it as one. In San Diego, it's known as Pacific Highway, and so it has a lot of different names. Karen Snyder says Big Sur, right? And that scenery right there is from the Big Sur section of it. There's just these really neat cliffs and things like that. And Kirk says Hearst Castle is probably it getting any love. That's probably not a complete sentence, but just hold on, Kirk. Just hold on. We're working our way north. Might not have got there yet. Chelsea says, I've been dying to do that. We got a little convertible Miata. Just need to convince the boyfriend. You should totally do that, and that's awesome in a convertible. Xavier asks if I talked about Magic Mountain. It is not on my list of top attractions. I did talk about it. Great place if you love roller coasters, though the lines can be awful. Karen says, saw it best from the Amtrak. Yeah, you can take trains along the coast, too. That's a really neat way to drive. Ned says, you got to stop at Neptune's Net if you're driving the PCH. I've never been to Neptune's Net. Is that like a restaurant in Malibu? I've heard of it, but I've never been there. Goddess says it's a amazing and scary drive. I think it's amazing. I've been on scarier drives, like in Hawaii and Maui. A lot of people recommend the road to Hana. That's a super scary drive. That's like a 1-lane road. And when people say 1 lane, I mean like 1 lane. Like if 2 cars, like if you're coming in an oncoming car and a lot of those things, you actually have to pass and let people go by. There is a neat town, if you're driving along the PCH out of Malibu, called Solvang. And Solvang is this old, like, Danish town, like windmills and things like that. It's totally worth a stop to stop into Solvang, get some lunch, get some European pastries. David says you can drive on the beach near Cambria. I've never done that, but that sounds pretty cool. Another neat beach stop is this beach called Pismo Beach, which is famous for the Pismo Beach clam, and they have this like big sculpture of a clam that's there in Pismo Beach. Kathy says doing the road to Hana next year. Good luck with that, Kathy. Yeah, we stopped. We stopped halfway through because we got sick and we wanted to turn around. So we did not continue with that. But more power to you if you have a strong stomach and you can make it all the way to the end. Carla says, can you make more Vegas videos? Absolutely, Carla. What do you want to know about Vegas? What do you want to see? Give me ideas for what you want to see in the next one. Travis asks, have you ever done the back road to Hana? No, but if you watch my Maui video, we have done the other drive, which is on the the north part of Maui. So you can check that out for that other drive that we did. I thought that was less vomitocious than the road to Hana, and with less cars. Broken Railer wants to know recommended place city to stay along the way from San Francisco to LA. It depends how many places you want to stop and things like that. But if you're working your way south, options are Santa Cruz, Monterey, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara. Those are the cities I'd consider stopping at because those are cities that have hotels that won't cost you an arm and a leg. All right, let's go on to number 13. Number 13 is Hearst Castle, which I have no video for. That was a video from something else. Hearst Castle, which I have here in a PowerPoint slide. Right there, look at that picture right there of Hearst Castle. Hearst Castle sits perched above the village of San Simeon. It's in kind of central coastal California, on the central California coast. It was built by William Randolph Hearst. It is a 165-room mansion by the sea, and it took 28 years to build this house. Doesn't live there anymore. Now it's basically runs a tourist operation like a national park or a California park, something like that. And you can go and take tours of this. They got a whole bunch of different tours you can take of it. It is amazing because you don't see a lot of castles in California. So this is the only castle in California. You see tons of castles in Europe, but this is kind of cool to see a California castle. Speaking of hotels, Kirk says you could stay at the Madonna Inn if you want to get freaky. Yeah, that's a really weird hotel. Like San Luis Obispo, right, Kirk? Something like that. If you do, around Central California, if you're trying to figure out what to eat there, and particularly in San Luis Obispo, tri-tip sandwiches. It's all about the tri-tip sandwich. And in San Luis Obispo, there's this restaurant. It's called the Firehouse or Fire something. It's been a while since I've been there, but that's the place to eat in San Luis Obispo, and their tri-tip is epic. And David says, Hearst Castle, designing the dream tour for great behind-the-scenes access. Thank you for that tip, David. Ricky says, I drove by Hearst Castle a month ago, was tripping out when I saw the zebras. And Kirk says, Hearst Castle, I drive by every 2 weeks. Why do you drive by Hearst Castle every 2 weeks, Kirk? Do you just love it that much, or what brings you by that castle every 2 weeks? OC Steve says, Scotty's Castle in Death Valley, the nachos are amazing. All right, I've never been to Scotty's Castle. I do feel like I need to check that out sometime on my way to Vegas. All right, let's go to number 14. Okay, number 14 is the California Redwoods. And you can see these in a lot of different places, but as you go up towards Santa Cruz, towards just south of San Francisco, the South Bay area, you'll find a lot of places where you can see these redwoods, and they are amazing trees, these amazing forests. This doesn't look like sunny California that you know of, but you can walk among these trees. And you really can't understand the magnitude of redwood trees until you see them. A great place to also see these is in Santa Cruz. There's a steam train that you can take up to the top of this mountain. It's like an hour steam train ride through the redwood forests. If you want to see more of that, you can check out my Santa Cruz video. And links in the description for that to all of these videos that I referenced through here. All right, let's go on to number 15. But before we do that, we'll take a comment from Laura where she says, oh yes, the gorgeous trees, right? And by the way, there's the redwoods and there's also the sequoias. And there's the famous Sequoia National Park as well. Didn't make this list because there's only room for 20. OC Steve says, stop showing us footage of the forest moon from Endor. Yeah, it does look like something from another planet, but it's really in California. And Sassy says, that's some Blair Witch Project woods. No thanks. They do kind of feel that way. And Ned said to not forget the Ewoks. All right, I won't forget the Ewoks. Kathy says, we have Redwood Forest near me in Melbourne. Amazing pics. They're so tall. By the way, that's Australia, for those of you who don't know, where it's not Melbourne, Florida. There are definitely no forests near Melbourne, Florida. They're so tall. That's cool. I didn't get a chance to check them out when I was there, but that's pretty neat. Carlos says, Santa Cruz, woohoo. Well, you will like the next number. Number 15 is actually Santa Cruz. And somebody said, Chris, you've shown Belmont Park, an amusement park by the water. You've shown Santa Monica. What's next? What's next? Well, what is next is the Santa Cruz Boardwalk right here. Actually, there's the Santa Cruz Wharf right in front, and then there's the Santa Cruz Boardwalk there in the back. The Santa Cruz Boardwalk, it is right in front of it. There's this mile-long beach and a mile-long boardwalk with rides and games. If you go there and you're an adult, you can feel like a kid again. And if you have kids, the kids will have the time of their life, I have to say. So if you're visiting California with your family, make sure this is on your to-do list. There's like a lot of things you can do on the boardwalk. There's like arcades, there's video games, there's chili cook-offs, there's restaurants. They're probably not the world's best restaurants on that boardwalk. There's a lot of other good restaurants in Santa Cruz, but this is just another one of those neat classic California things that you don't, frankly, see these a lot of other places. And if you're really adventuresome, again, you like wooden roller coasters, you'll see we're coming up on it in this video. There's this really neat wooden roller coaster right there. It's another one of these historic wooden roller coasters. It is super bumpy. You'll probably wonder if you're going to make it out alive. But OC Girl and I, we did it together. So if OC Girl can do it, you can too. And by the way, the roller coaster in San Diego at Belmont Park, I did that one with Ben from the Travel Man podcast, who's occasionally been on here in some of my live streams. Vic Lau says, I like the Santa Cruz Boardwalk, but I think the Seal Beach Pier is even better. Vic, the Seal Beach Pier in Orange County, just south of Long Beach, what do you like about the Seal Beach Pier better? Melissa says, Winchester Mystery House, and Travis says, Winchester Mystery House. So the Winchester Mystery House didn't get a number of its own, but I'm going to talk about it in just a moment because it belongs in the next number. Nicholas says, I didn't know Santa Cruz was an amusement park too. I'm going, it is. The tip I will tell you, if you're going to the Santa Cruz Boardwalk, check the days that it's open. It is not open every day of the week. In the winter, it's often closed on weekdays, so make sure you're going there a day that it's actually going. Sergey says, any attractions in deserts or mountains near Palm Springs? Not on my list, Sergey, but the one I will tell you in Palm Springs is the Palm Springs Aerial Tramway. It's a really neat tram that you can take from the bottom of Palm Springs up to the mountains up there, so make sure you check out the Palm Springs Aerial Tramway. If you like shopping, there's also a couple of outlet malls that are on the way there. Xavier says, what state do you live in? California, of course. I live in Southern California. All right. And Jenny Fed says, I just made the live chat. We love the Winchester Mystery House. Welcome, Jenny Fed. All right, I'll be so many things about the Winchester Mystery House. So let me go on to the next number, which includes the Winchester Mystery House. And this is, I said in this list, I was not going to include like neighborhoods. I was only going to include specific things. Well, this one's a neighborhood with some specific things, which is, wow, that is not the video that should go there. All right, but it's Silicon Valley. So Silicon Valley, it's the South San Francisco Bay Area, like San Jose, Sunnyvale, Mountain View, where Stanford is, Berkeley. This whole area, which is just kind of inland from Santa Cruz, is where all the big tech companies are. Apple, Intel, Facebook, Google. It is really neat to drive around Silicon Valley and see the home of all of these big tech companies that we hear of and that we interact with every day. Apple has like its own big visitor center where you can go to. It's like the coolest Apple store ever. I have a whole video just about that Apple visitor center in Cupertino. The Intel Corporation, which makes a lot of the processors we use on our home PCs, has a museum that talks about Intel chips. That's pretty cool. I think it's also pretty neat to walk around the campus of Stanford, and they've got these little, all like the little cities that are there, Palo Alto, Mountain View, have these little neat like 4 or 5 block downtowns with little restaurants, and so that's pretty neat to walk around. The other great thing to see in Silicon Valley, and a number of people mentioned it, it is the Winchester Mystery House. What is the Winchester Mystery House? Well, you've probably heard of the Winchester rifle. Mr. Winchester, when he died, his wife thought she was being haunted by evil spirits, and that basically she'd be haunted by these spirits if she did not continue building on her house. So for her entire life, she continued building on this house, and so it has like staircases that go nowhere, rooms that seem to go nowhere. It is the most interesting house you have ever been to that somebody's actually lived in. So if you're around that San Jose area, definitely check out the Winchester house. All right, so I want to introduce at this point in time the new panda that's arrived. Many of you know Topher was stolen last month in London. We're still sad of that. We have so far received 4 pandas. There are 3 of them that are right there. This panda right here is from Kathy from Australia. He is from the Adelaide Zoo. You can probably see right there. He's pretty cute. Look at this guy right here. So many of you, I know there's still more pandas coming, but Kathy, thank you very much for this guy. He's pretty cute. He doesn't have a name yet, but Kathy says he loves to travel. So look forward to bringing him along with a lot of these other pandas. And if you have a panda that you would like to submit for consideration, we still have casting for Topher open through the end of October. That's when we believe his spirit's going to be reincarnated. If you'd like to send in a panda for consideration, you can send your panda candidates to Chris Rainey, 1180 Rosecrans Street, number 201, San Diego, California, 92106. All right. As always, I like to do a giveaway, and I'm not done yet. I still got 5 numbers. We still got 5 minutes. We're gonna make it through those, but I like to do giveaways. And so today, Alex Jossie earlier, he was saying like, "Hey Chris, I'd like a shirt. You know, what does it take to get a shirt?" Well, you got to win shirts. So today, a shirt will be up for grabs, and I will send it to anybody in the world who wants one. And so the question, and if you answer this question correctly and you're the first person to answer it, you will win one of these shirts, and that is the original Topher, who is no longer with us. Where did we buy him from? If you answer that question correctly, I'll send you one of these shirts. And with that, I'm going to go on the number 17 while y'all answer that question. So 17, and that's wow, apparently these videos, I apparently didn't put any more videos in, so that's cool. All right, so 17 is the San Francisco cable car. I got a whole video about San Francisco travel tips, but if you're going to San Francisco, the San Francisco cable car is an iconic attraction to ride. You can stand on the outside of it. It is one of those places that you just have to do it, and it seems like it shouldn't be safe, but it is safe. Okay, so the first person, Moises, and let me just go back and check because this thing is scrolling, because many of you said San Diego Zoo, so I need to go and check to make sure that Moises was the first person to say San Diego Zoo. I'm impressed that many of you, a lot of you know that, and yes, Moises, you are the first person to say San Diego Zoo as the home of the original Topher. So Moises, let me know where you would like me to send you your shirt and what size. You can send me a message on Facebook. Link to my Facebook page is in the description below, or you can send me an email to chris@yellow.net. Make sure you've got the 2 W's that are in there, chris@yellow.net. For everybody else, there'll be another giveaway next Monday for the next live stream. But we're not done yet because we got more numbers. After San Francisco cable car, also in San Francisco is Alcatraz Island. There's this really neat island in San Francisco that's home to this former jail. The Alcatraz prison opened in 1934, and it was home to the country's most dangerous criminals of the time. The prison closed in 1963 because it needed extensive maintenance, but today you can take a ferry and you can take self-guided tours of Alcatraz. It is one of the highlights of a San Francisco trip. Many people have asked me after my San Francisco video and said, Chris, you know, we've seen a lot of comments on your San Francisco video that people said there's a lot of poop and there's a lot of crazy street people and things like that. Like, should I still go to San Francisco? Is it still worth going? I think San Francisco is still worth going, but you do have to be aware that there is this larger, more aggressive street person population, and if you're around the Tenderloin district, which is where a lot of them hang out, then you may very well see a lot of poop that is over there. The 19th best attraction in California is the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't need to picture the Golden Gate Bridge. Everybody knows what the Golden Gate Bridge looked like. It connects San Francisco to Marin County. It was built in 1937. It is one of the country's most recognized landmarks. I think people recognize the Golden Gate Bridge from around the world. It took 4 years to construct this 2-mile bridge, and many people think the bridge looks red. It's actually painted international orange to be more visible in San Francisco's fog. It's been in a lot of movies. It's really neat. You can walk across it. You can ride a bike across it. I think it's really neat to rent a bicycle from Fisherman's Wharf, bike across it, and then take the ferry back over there from the other side. Jenny says, San Francisco is still magical. We had no problem there, and we were there last summer. Acer says, foggy. San Francisco is foggy. And Matt says there's a really neat fort underneath the bridge. There is, so make sure to check that out. Geshmake says to check out the Disney Family Museum in San Francisco. Great place to visit in San Francisco. That's a great tip. I've never been there, but I do want to be there. Barry says he walked across the bridge in July. It was the coldest day of his life. I bet it was, Barry. And by the way, Barry, props in your thumbnail photo on the yellow shirt. You get a +1 from me right there. All right, and Robert says if you're going to Alcatraz, take the night tour of Alcatraz. Thank you for that tip, Robert. All right, so number 20, this is the last number. This one's not an attraction, but I just have to say it, and it's about the food scene. I think a big reason you come to California is to eat the food. I might be biased because I live in California, but I believe California has the best food scene in the entire United States, with the most reasonable price. There are some people who might say, Chris, but there's more high-end food in New York City. You're right, there's more high-end food in New York City, but you need to be on like a corporate expense account to afford it, or some like son or daughter of a wealthy oil magnate or something. And related to affordable food, not just In-N-Out Burger, but every cuisine you've likely wanted to try is here in California. From Thai food to Korean food to Japanese food to, if you like sea urchin, some of the best sea urchin in the world comes off the coast of Santa Barbara. It's some of the sweetest, so those are the tips. Now, there were a few things that were not on my list, and I want to point these out that are on a lot of other people's lists, and 2 of them in particular. One is Catalina Island. There's this island off the coast of LA and Orange County called Catalina. A lot of people say, like, Chris, why haven't you made a video? What do you think about this island? I don't know. I'm just not that excited about Catalina. Like, I take the ferry there, and I get there, and I sort of meh. And then Jeff asked the question, like, Yosemite, Lake Tahoe. So the next one I was going to mention is Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe is kind of going to get a special shout out, and Lake Tahoe is going to get the shout out to say, if you are here in the winter and you want to see snow, I think Lake Tahoe is a great place to see snow. I think if you just go in there other times of the year, like, it's a cool lake, but it is one of those places where I said, like, a lot of these places I try to mention are things that don't take, like, days to go to, aren't separate things. They're like attractions you can go to. Lake Tahoe is just a big neighborhood. There's a lot of different attractions. There's a lot of different things, and so that's why it didn't rank this list. If you like aquariums and things like that, in Monterey there's a great aquarium. Long Beach, a great aquarium. Scripps has a great aquarium, and then the other theme park that, of course, I didn't mention is SeaWorld, which is controversial to a lot of people, but if you're into that sort of thing, you can visit SeaWorld in San Diego as well. So with that, I believe all good live streams begin and end on time. We are at 9:02, which brings us to bonus time. So with this, I would like to thank everybody who joined in the live stream today. The next live stream will be next week. It'll be next week, just a week from today, Monday, September 23rd. What will I be talking about? I don't know. Follow me on Facebook for updates. I always post an update at least the Saturday before I stream with the topic. And as usual, I won't say goodbye because I'll see you all in the next live stream, or I'll see you all in all the videos that I referenced in this video. Click in the description. You'll find like 10 videos on all these different attractions in California that I referenced right there. And if you're watching the archive, well, I'll put a couple of them right here as well.